Welcome to the Mizell Show.
An inspiration for a new generation.
Hi, I'm Alanna Mizell, a loving mother of two, a devoted wife to Steven, and an entrepreneur helping women realize their dreams and potential.
And I'm Steven Mizell, caring father of two, a devoted husband to Alanna, and a driving force to help young men prepare for life after college football.
And if that wasn't enough, we're a biracial couple.
She was raised in the North, but I was raised in the South.
The only thing normal about our lives, who am I kidding? It's never normal around here. Join us for the Mizell Show.
Right now. All right, we're back on the Mizell Show.
1, 2, and ready to go. And 1, 2.
A couple things that you have come used to. Alana's drinking a beverage, and she's being weird. Nope.
Why weird? Why can't I just be unique?
Unique?
Or entertaining.
Okay, Alana's being entertaining with their 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and count me in and let's go. We are back on the Mizell Show.
I'm just keeping you on your toes.
Keeping me on my toes.
Okay.
Yes, y'all. So, Alanna, what are you watching?
Yes, y'all.
Y'all.
Okay, here's the thing. I have had, my shows just stopped.
It's
Station 19, I don't know if they're on a break or whatnot.
It's like a pre-summer break to do, they do a pause and a couple more shows and they're done for the summer. Is that how it's looking like?
I don't know, but I'm not okay.
You weren't okay.
So that's a problem.
You finished Love is Blind.
I had plenty of time to watch my three shows.
What are your 3 shows?
Station 19, Grey's Anatomy, and Million Little Things.
How do you still watch Grey's Anatomy without Grey?
Meredith, I love it. I just...
And then another person just left. Maggie.
Listen, I can't stop watching it, okay? I really love it. It's fine.
I thought after Derek left, you were going to, phone it in.
No, and there's so many people that did. But I am a true fan.
You are a day one. Day one.
Like true believer.
True believer.
Christian.
You
what
are
is it? Christmas Chronicles?
Yes.
I am. I'm a day one A1. But...
You finished Love is Blind.
Yeah. It really wasn't good.
It wasn't good?
No, and the tea is... So, Netflix had a live show for the reunion.
Okay.
And you would think Netflix would have their act together. It didn't go live. It was late, and then they still didn't get to do it live. They had to post it later on.
Ooh. But could have been drama with other people. There's a lot of moving parts.
No, it was a network thing.
Oh. So you all been the team.
It's the second time that they've tried to do a live event that failed. Stop trying to do the live event then.
Yeah.
Just stop.
Yeah.
And there's a whole lot of debacle. I think I told you this. About...
You can tell our listeners, though.
People not wanting Nick and Vanessa Lachey to be the hosts anymore.
Oh.
That's the tea. If TikTok has ever been united on something before, it is this.
You're still supporting TikTok.
No, I actually didn't learn that from TikTok. I learned all of that from Girls Gotta Eat. But
okay. Well, that's your second favorite podcast in the Mizell Show, right?
Oh my gosh, Girls Gotta Eat is fabulous.
Fabulous.
They're actually coming to Nashville in October.
Nice. Are you throwing out hints? How much are tickets?
About $100 each.
That's not too bad. That's not bad.
And it's a small,
intimate venue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's smaller. So I really love them.
Yeah.
But Million Little Things, I think they had their season ending episode.
Okay.
Oh, my tearjerker.
Oh, it's good.
I was wrecked.
You were wrecked. Oh, okay.
Wrecked. I didn't see it coming.
Ooh.
I wasn't ready for it. It was... I can't tell.
I'm going to ask about this.
I don't want to tell anybody
don't tell it, yeah.
in case they see it or if they've never watched Million Little Things.
Yeah.
Yo, it's a really good show.
It's a good show. We're still, as a couple, we are watching Ted Lasso, getting through that.
It's hysterical.
It's hysterical. It's getting a little dark. Not dark, but kind of some really good moments they're harping in on. So Ted Lasso is still good. The NFL draft was this past weekend.
You're still watching that?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. The NFL draft happened this weekend, but I think the biggest thing that came out of the NFL draft that me and Alanna kind of talked about.
Wait, hold on. Side note, my dad, every year, how does he say it? The draft.
The draft. He loves the draft.
Like that.
The draft.
The draft.
The draft. But one thing we did see in the NFL draft, we watched the first, 20-ish picks, and, the family dynamic is shifting across the country. We recognize that. But in this draft, it was very evident that a lot of these players drafted were from single parent households. It was, you hear about it and you see about it, but to see it be so prevalent in this draft, it kind of hit close to home, just like, man, like this is really something that's happening. And kudos to the mothers out there who are raising these young men to go to this next level. And I also know that there are support systems out there for these guys in place, but to be watching this monumental moment and to actually not have, that father figure in that picture, it was very kind of eye-opening. And the common thing also was a lot of these guys were raised by their sisters and their moms.
Yeah, there was a lot. Their narrative kind of woven throughout was this sense of gratitude towards sisters being there,
which
I then was like, Briggs, you better be nice to your sister or she ain't gonna help.
Oh, I don't help. Protective big sister. But in speaking of people and support systems, another thing that you watched this week, which I think you watched for the second time over, is...
Well, I don't know, because I've watched her Becoming tour.
Yes.
And then I watched The Light We Carry. That's the name of it. Yeah. And I haven't read it yet. So Michelle Obama released another book, The Light We Carry. I think that's what it's called.
Okay. Yeah.
And Netflix did so she traveled then all over the country, signing books, which I thought was really cool, because a lot of people don't do that anymore. And then an arena filled...
In Chicago, I think.
Well, no, that one was L.A.
Oh.
Becoming, I think, was Chicago. But
okay.
She filled arenas all over the country and had different people interview her.
Yes.
Which was cool, because then, like, Gail did one, Oprah's best friend, if people don't know who Gail is. But there was a number of people that did, so then they actually got to hear her talk and kind of hear the story behind, which is kind of how old book signings used to be, or they'd read a synopsis from the book.
Yeah, and every host has their own kind of interview or their own kind of story that they're bringing to Michelle Obama's story. That excerpt means different to other people.
Exactly. Yeah. So then, of course, Netflix does the one with Oprah. I mean, obviously. And it was the end. That was the last one. And, I mean, of course, Oprah's the ending one.
But you really enjoyed it, though.
So
it was so good. And I think in that moment that I caught when she was watching it, Oprah talks about her circle, but Michelle Obama goes more into detail about her table.
And she talks about it in the book.
Yes.
Like I said, I haven't read the book yet. But she talks about her kitchen table and the actual and then the theoretical kitchen table. Yeah. And she talks about how she carries her friend group kind of along the way. And I won't spoil the whole thing, but Oprah actually had Michelle Obama's 50th birthday party, like, through her birthday party, which is like, what is even happening? I would be like, wait, what? And Michelle invited 12 people.
Yes.
And Oprah goes, you don't have 12 friends. And Michelle was like, no, I legitimately do.
Yeah.
And so they were kind of friends along the way.
Well, yeah.
And so she also talked about how, like, she has a famous quote that says, we go low, they go low, we go high. Mm-hmm. And she was like, but except at the kitchen table. That's when you go low and you air it all out. But it's got to be the people that you kind of trust to be at that kitchen table. So I thought it was
phenomenal. It was such a good part of that whole piece. And it was very important to see how she brought different people from different aspects of her life. Mm-hmm. And she's also very open to admit that not everyone makes the kitchen table. But I think that the whole
chick said that some people get cut.
Yeah. And that's the harsh reality of it.
The slow ghost.
The slow ghost. See, some people you just don't make an announcement that you're getting rid of them. You kind of just slow ghost them.
Oh, she had one quote, and I yelled to your name.
I don't remember it.
Oh, I remember it. She said, some people just can't make the climb.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo-hoo.
That is true.
So it was people that were with them before the White House.
Yeah.
And they just couldn't make the climb up to the White House. Like, they just couldn't do it. They couldn't hang. They, sometimes when you have success that is coming, other people that have been with you before can't make the climb because they're not ready for your success.
Ooh. Yep. That's
so how many people are you holding on to because they're not ready for your success?
Yeah.
And I think we've had that recently in relationships.
Yeah.
Is this realization of letting like friendships don't have to last forever.
No.
Now, I do have a core group of friends, you guys have heard it before, that they do last forever because they've known me for so long. And actually, Cara and I were texting yesterday and just saying, I just really wish that I could have a big fire pit with all my girls around it. And like, we almost don't even have to say anything.
Yeah.
Just because I don't have to say words. They know exactly what I'm feeling. Or like, if I do, there's not this level of judgment. And I think that's what Michelle's talking about her kitchen table.
Yeah.
It's like whatever comes out, there's no judgment. There might be a disagreement. Y'all, we disagree all the time.
Yeah.
But nobody leaves.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what she's talking about there. But I also think it's important as you kind of go on through life to let people go that aren't ready for the climb that you're on.
Yeah. And I think it's also the facet of the entire kitchen table that the whole premise of the kitchen table. Everybody has their own kind of thought behind it. So,
did you know that I sell makeup? Not only do I sell makeup, but the makeup that I sell is 3D makeup, which allows you to highlight and contour your face in a super simple compact. As a mom, I could not survive without my simplified routine. Not only that, but it's exactly what you need. Exactly when you need it, all in one spot. Go ahead and check out Alanna Mizell on Instagram or alannamizell.com to learn more.
her whole philosophy was, you know, you as a child, everybody has that moment, or you think through, like, you're outside playing all day, or you're whatever, and you come home to your table, and you have your family, or you have that core group of friends, and just that feeling you have when you look across there. And it's not so much about the food, it's just the people that are there that you know you can be, like you said, your authentic self to. And you also can get that authentic feedback from. So one of the things that we really harp on the Mizell show is that group, that circle of friends, those people. So that kitchen table was it hit both of us very vividly, like, ooh.
Well, and also on top of that, for my birthday, we literally had people around our kitchen table.
Yeah, we did.
Literally. And we had specific friends over. And it was a very, very small group, but we were able to talk about things spanning from
politics,
pronoun usage, all the way to how do you explain to your kids about the menstrual cycle.
Yep.
Y'all, the gamut. We also were cracking jokes at each other, and nobody left the table with hostility.
Nobody got up from the table.
Nobody got up. Nobody stormed out. Nobody threw a fit.
Well, people did get up because at this event, Alanna had sushi. And
well, I mean, they refilled their plate, but they didn't, like, leave they didn't get so frustrated that they were like, we're going to go. Which can happen when you're talking about things that span those very specific, like, topics, beliefs. You know, and topics that people feel really strongly about. But what was interesting is that no matter the political view at the table, because there were drastically different political views there. What the common denominator was Jesus.
Yeah.
And so it was almost like we've got this denominator. We also have our kids as a denominator. And we're kind of in a like phase in life.
Yeah.
And so, like, that was enough. And I think that's important also to think about as far as who's surrounding you at your kitchen table. Yeah. You're both theoretical and actual. Is the types of people. I don't want my kitchen table surrounded by, I mean, as much as diversity of skin is super important to me, diversity of thought is so, so, so important. And having a space to where people feel comfortable enough to have that discussion and not feeling like they're going to get judged in that moment, I think is pivotal. Yeah. When you're thinking about who you're keeping at your kitchen table.
Yeah, I think it's pivotal, but I also feel that it's one of those things when you have that common denominator, or you have the overall, I think what we are missing a lot of times on the kitchen table is just the maturity level to be able to listen first and talk second, and to really be able to dive into how that person is feeling, and to be able to give your feedback, but also be respectful of them and they be respectful of you, because what we are missing from the kitchen table these days is that level of just the maturity and the understanding of it's okay that this person feels this way. Doesn't mean I have to believe it. Also doesn't mean I have to get up and be rude if they don't believe in exactly what I say.
Yes, and so what I think is super interesting about that and how Michelle Obama talks about it in the show, like we said, we haven't read the book. But, like, if your parents are at the kitchen table, think about when you're younger. Yeah. And your grandmother comes over saying, well, my grandmother said whatever the store she wanted. Yeah. Let's get real. Yeah. Graham just did whatever she wanted. But if she said something that was unhinged, I'm not just going to storm away. I may not say anything back. Yeah. But I'm not going to storm away. I'm still going to be present. That relationship hasn't changed. And I think now we're so quick to judge and quick to walk away from the table and be like, they're fine. Whatever. Yeah. I don't need them in my life. When in reality, there's so many other facets to a person. Yeah. Than their one unhinged commentary.
Yeah. But I think also from that standpoint, just thinking back to the table we recently had, one thing that I also appreciate, there are no cell phones.
No,
we sat around the table for almost 4 hours. Yeah. And we didn't have a bucket to put the phones into, or we didn't have anything. Like it was like an organic thing where we just sat down and talked. There was no TV on.
But I think that's also a function of the type of people that we choose to surround ourselves with.
True.
Like we have a level of intentionality around the people that we want our kids to be surrounded by, those that we invest our true friendships with. Yeah. That understand that there's so much more value in putting the phone down. Yeah. We even talked about not being on social media anymore at the table. Yeah. Like how much value add that may have. Yeah. And just like what that could bring. So I think that also plays into just that point. It is so fascinating to think back. There wasn't a photograph taken. No. Not one, y'all. Actually, yes, there was. There was a photograph taken of the sushi that we already had bites taken out of. Yes. Like people had already started eating because it was so beautiful.
But it wasn't for the group. It was for your friends that actually it was for my friends at home. Yes. Yes. It wasn't for the group. There was no
It wasn't to post. It wasn't for anything else. It was just a pure and organic conversation without phones present.
Yeah. And again, it's very fascinating. So I asked you the question, which we would challenge our listeners: why have we lost the kitchen table? Because I say this because we are in the process. Some of you know, I'm a realtor. We're looking for a new house, and the current flow of our house is open. We love it, but right now, in some of the houses we've looked at, it actually has, as Steven would call it, a old school English kitchen table in the kitchen and not open to anything else. Like you have your kitchen, you have,
why did we separate?
And then you have the actual table and it's completely blocked off.
Yes. Yeah, so, okay, let me go back. Let me do a little education on British kitchens. So if you go back and when British kitchens were first created, that's where one of the largest stoves were. So fireplaces, and that's where the majority of the food was. So to be able to keep warm, but also everybody around the family was helping build that meal. And so larger familial gatherings happened in Britain because that was a custom. Yeah. And that's kind of what they did. If you think back to maybe an more Americanized tradition, Sunday dinners or things like that. And we've done that a handful of times, but it wasn't a handful of times. It was every Sunday. Yeah. There was always dinner. And I think that that's something that we actually do have in our house. When people come over, we still eat around the table. Yeah. That doesn't change. When it's just the four of us, we eat around the table. And I think that's a narrative as our kids get older, they're going to understand that everything happens at the table. Yes. And I love that. Yeah. And that's how my family was. We tried to eat as many meals at the dining room table as possible. But at one point, we got rid of it. And we just had like a smaller table. And that's where we all ate dinner. And it was so much more intimate having the table that was kind of connected to the kitchen and kind of just like this vibe. And there's always a place for a more elevated dinner. We all know I love fancy stuff. Yeah. But I do see what you're saying, that just being able to throw down, it's where the homework happens. It's where the dinner happens. It's where some of the most vulnerable conversations I think are going to happen in our lives and have happened, have been around this physical table that we're at right now.
And this table we're sitting at right now, guys, has seen some love. It was actually, like, now you're starting, we talk about like the people, but the physical table that we have in our house, it was purchased like a couple days after we got married, maybe a couple of weeks after we got married. And it has been with us through these 10 years of marriage. It has a couple of coats of paints on it, has a lot of Briggs love on it in terms of
it does.
The love to it.
Scratches.
Got some scratches. And I think what's beautiful about that is that the table has stayed the same even though the chairs have changed.
Yeah.
And so even though we have gotten
literally the chairs have changed.
Alana has changed the chairs a couple times actually.
Take it easy.
It's been 3 times, right?
We had the originals, then we had the white ones,
and now we have the new ones.
These ones.
Yes. Yeah. And so when you start looking at your kitchen table, you start thinking through where is your table now, and who's going to be there at that table. And then also something that we got away from, through the pandemic and everything else you want to call it, we got away from inviting people to our kitchen table.
Yeah, regularly inviting.
Yeah.
So, yes and no. I think that through the pandemic, I think people stopped inviting people to their kitchen table. This table in particular, gosh, the number of people that
we've had some really good people. Yeah.
And now I'm going to get all emotional thinking about the daggum table. But for sure, I mean, it's one of those that's never going to not be in a house that we own.
No.
I don't care. We're finding a spot for it.
No, this table stays.
It is like if the table could talk, y'all.
Oof.
If the table could talk. There have been business deals had at this table.
There's been companies started at this table.
There's been companies started at this table. There's been a podcast created at this actual table.
Yeah.
There's been tears over miscarrying at this exact table. There's been babies that have fallen asleep in the arms of Steven at this exact table in the middle of the meeting.
Yeah.
There's been baby dedication follow-up meals at this table.
Birthdays at this table.
I mean, every birthday kids have ever seen.
We've had some of the toughest conversations with people at this table. So, when we think about the table, you have the people that are there, but you also just have the memories of the table.
But what you said was it has become, because of COVID, it has become less, you start to have less people at the table.
Yeah.
And I would say yes-ish. I think it was a function of our lives that we were in. Like, we had players over here all the time at this kitchen table, y'all. And that's just not a part of our lives anymore. But we were blessed with 2 of the greatest things ever, Adele and Briggs. And they're at this table every day. So isn't it so much more so having those conversations with them here now? And just kind of how that's adapted and changed.
No, I was saying more in the holistic world country view. That
you're not talking about my table. You're talking about everybody else. So it's everybody else's problem.
I was just saying in general, how have we as a country, as a people, stop inviting people to the actual table? Like, when your birthday this past,
the figurative table or the literal?
The literal table.
Okay.
Because I'm saying, like, your birthday was a very intimate, practical thing we thought about.
Yeah.
But most people, when they think about birthdays or celebrations, it's always the more the merrier, or it's a big blowout. But it's also like, who can you invite to your kitchen table in your circle that could bring that value, can bring that homey feel? Like, if you are a person transitioning to college, transitioning to a new country, new city for a new job, who from your office can you bring and be okay with being at the table and having a meal and having those discussions? What I was saying is that I think a lot of people stray away from this because they are afraid of having some of the conversations that come up at the table. It's the awkwardness, like,
it's the not having the phone in front of you.
Yeah.
And people may actually have a conversation.
Yeah.
And you don't know what that conversation is going to end up
Or, just be honest with you, some people just don't know how to carry a conversation. Like, you get a table.
Been dinners at this table that we've realized, wow, if we can't get words out of you, I don't know who's gonna.
Yeah, no, it's very true.
Yeah,
and so
it's harsh.
As we bring this home, I think my question to you is, what's next for our kitchen table?
So I think one of the things that, like, people can do at their own house is We even did this before we ever had kids. We ate dinner at our kitchen table.
One of the most vivid moments I had with Alanna is...
I know what you're going to say.
We were shopping for our list, our registry. And before Bath & Beyond went bankrupt.
Bed Bath & Beyond.
Beyond, sorry.
Yeah.
R.I.P. I said, hey, let's get some TV stands. And you're like, no, we're not going to have TV stands. And I was like, why not? It's just me and you. We can sit there and watch a show together. And she was like,
adamant.
And she was like, no,
dinner happens
we are
at the dinner
not
table.
going to do that.
Yeah.
And I am so grateful for that because some days in our early marriage, it would be a hour-long dinner. Some would be a quick dinner. We'll say our hellos, our how our dudes, and then we go to the couch and watch a show. But even if it was 5 minutes, if it was an hour, it was still that practical time that we said we were going to sit here, talk about our day, eat a meal, and then you will transition to the TV or transition to a hobby or something.
Yes. And I think that's what has changed the narrative for our kids to realize that dinner happens at the dining room table. Yeah. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner all happens at the dining room table for us. Mm-hmm. Lunch on the weekends is allowed to be, you can watch a show. Dinner, there are no shows on.
No.
That's how we roll in this house. And that may be strict, but I want to get to know my kids. And I think that there will be things that come up at our dinner table, our kitchen table, whatever you want to call it, because we only have one. It's one and the same in our house.
Yeah.
That would not have been said otherwise.
Yeah.
And I just think that's a beautiful thing. And I think it's something within homes that isn't had. And so what's next for our table is continuing that intentionality that we had for my birthday.
Yes.
And whether that be having more of those couples and their kids over, that is something that we do try to do relatively regularly. Time gets away from us, but having a couple and their kids over so that we can all eat dinner on the table and then the parents can talk while the kids play. I think that is such a missed art form. You don't have to have a babysitter every time. Yeah. Like, bring the kids, let them go play. The adults have time to talk. Do you have the same
meaningful conversation with the kids are here? No,
maybe
but it's
still...
not.
But you still have a connection that I think the human connection is being lost. And so...
And I think one thing also I'll intervene before we wrap up is that we've had dinners at this table with other couples, with another couple, and with their kids. And I think something that's missed is watching the other art form of parenting.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And it's beautiful because, you have one kid that wants to play with a toy, and then you have this parent beautifully intervene, and you hear how they respond to it. And it's like, oh, that is awesome. I loved how you're able to do that.
And I think that's how we've learned a lot of our parenting, too, is watching your sister and brother-in-law.
Yes.
My sister-in-law and my brother-in-law, too, but I always say that.
Yeah.
Like they're not related to me. They are.
But it's around the table, and I think speaking of
and being able to watch them relate to their kids, and if you don't invite them into your home, you're not going to be able to see that.
Yeah.
Because I also think kids, they are not on their best behavior when they're at their own house. And so that's when you get to see true parenting.
Yeah.
It's how redirection happens, how even reprimanding happens, how articulation of problems happens. And I think it's taught both of us a lot in terms of patience and how we even talk to each other. Seeing parents parent together is also something to watch.
Yeah.
Because it has taught me ways to give grace to you and vice versa in times that I don't instinctually have.
Yeah.
Yep.
No. Well, guys.
So what's next for our table for Steven's World?
Oh, the next thing for
you didn't tell anybody. You're just closing it out.
I was going to close it out. I mean, you always might drop at the end, so I'm like, I ain't got nothing to say. I mean, I think that the next thing about our table for me is just continuing to get the life that happens to this table, to continue to get the bumps, the bruises, the beautiful intentionality of this table through the conversations, through the Hot Wheel cars that go across every single night before dinner and after dinner, the arts and craft things that Adele loves to do at the table, and then more of these podcasts. I just want this table just to continue to get life with people, with things and items, because this whole episode today just is a beautiful kind of imagery of a kitchen table.
Yeah, it's good table.
It's a good table.
It's a heavy table.
It's a heavy table. We appreciate you guys. Thank you for checking it out, and thanks for being at our table.
So if you guys are enjoying this, definitely leave us a review. Give us the feedback. If there's something you guys want us to talk about, reach out to us on our website at themizellshow.com. There is a contact section. You can put it in there. We would love to hear about it. Or you can always go over to Instagram at The Mizell Show. Also, as always, don't forget to screenshot this episode and just add it to your stories and tag us on Instagram, on Facebook at The Mizell Show. Thanks, guys. Are you loving The Mizell Show? Well, we love you all. And did you know that you can have me and Steven talk to your team or a group of 25 of your friends? All it takes is 25 people showing up on either a Zoom call, a Facebook Live, or really anywhere. Hopefully in person sooner rather than later. But how do you get us? So all you have to do is email themizellshow@gmail.com, or you can direct message us on Instagram at The Mizell Show.